we don't really need to think too much about this topic because we talk about it all the time.
I know,
It's in
we
the
do.
words in the title of our, show here, right? Our
Exactly.
act.
Of the space here. Yeah.
Yeah. So we usually have that conversation for like 10, 20 minutes before we enter the space all the time. So we're in conversation before we come in here, before I hit record. And people don't know that, but we talk for a little bit before we come in here to set stage, I guess, a little bit. But
Yep.
sovereignty, the reason why we move around the way we do, like we were just talking about, is because we're sovereign. I mean, I speak for myself,
Right.
because I'm sovereign. It's the only way I can speak for myself. Not go we and we this and we that. Sure, I could, but I like to change the words because I'm sovereign. Everything that we do when we're sovereign is an act of complete sovereign. Like it's me. I own it. My words, my actions. No more of this we thing. And it's difficult because as human in this world, we're like, there's a whole we thing, like we're bringing the masses along to the higher frequencies, come on guys, let's go. There's
like
this
this collective job we all have to do together. Yeah.
And so it's when you're sovereign, it's like you're living two worlds, two different identities in a way.
Or wording. 3 or 4 or 5.
Well, that's why I said wording. Because it's the simple act of Muriel, Matt, our body that's here, the life that we live here. And then there's the whole sovereignty within the knowing, the knowingness that comes up front and speaks on behalf instead of the brain speaking and causes problems and challenges. Things aren't right. Yeah.
That you wrote in your book, right? Like that definition or whatever, that was from your book, wasn't it? That you sent me.
And I do have it here because I did have it just handy. I'm handy dandy. So sovereignty, right? Yeah, the page of I'm looking at. I have a hardcover copy of this now. I have hardcover versions of Soulship, but there's a glossary in the beginning of this book. It is a textbook. That's kind of wrote it that way instead of it being. Oh no, it's not really a text. It's got text and it's a book. So, but to be used for the unlearning, schools of unlearning, right? Wording. And so, the ability to receive one's own energy to manifest and experience creation without any outside influence or interference. The ability to receive one's own energy to manifest and experience creation without anybody doing anything. Now, those words are tricky because, like we just said, it's a network of the we here as humans. So when we move around here in the linear landscape, we're kind of, there's a positioning in which you have to do.
Exactly.
But you find that the energetic movements change, like the physical movements change and the energetic movements take over. And that's when the knowing works more on behalf of the human. Like we move, Matt, like we move accordingly in the time of day to where the normal human being would say to avoid, to hide. What other words can we find? To stay under cover, which I was using, move like a ninja.
Right.
But this is the movement of the master, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not so much, it's from like a space of just really honoring, like you said, it's not coming from like thinking about it or worry or fear or anything like that. You're actually just in tune with your own energy so much that you just know like where and when to move, how to move, when to move. And too, I feel like one of the other things that I really value in this is being able to distract myself. Like to get, and because I think there's this sort of idea that you always have to be like, I don't know, like there's something you're always doing when you're in your realized state, when you come home to yourself. And the reality is I think I just distract myself so much of the time. And I don't think it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's how you kind of have to navigate, I think, because the energies around can be so intense.
There's a lot of mind chatter too when you become aware of stuff is a hell of a lot more than the regular person would experience, because it's just all simple awareness. You're aware that your mind is chattering, and there's many layers of thought.
Right.
That's where
Yeah,
the old
very much.
identities come from, right? The layers of thought are more of like the identities too, wrapped around
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Like yesterday, like being, I for those listening, I was on a trip, and I was in the airport yesterday, and just, the energies in an airport are intense right now. Like they're frantic anyway, right? When people go in, because you're, got to make your flight, and you got to get through security, and you got all these other things, and did you pack everything, and blah blah blah, and it's all this stuff. And then now they've got all these other restrictions with like wearing a mask all the time, and so everyone's just like walking around in this just weird energy. And all I could find myself doing was putting on my noise canceling headphones, turning up my music, and just like basically ignoring everything around me. Just because it was just so intense, and
do you notice that when we shut off one of our senses or dim it, we get more centered?
Yeah. It was great. I mean, it was fine. It's just a lot to deal with, and I was pretty exhausted when I got back.
I feel that the inner peace is there. So the inner peace is there. Like for me, when I'm wearing the noise cancellation, that's why I do it, is because when I'm not hearing the outside, like other people around me or the other doings of the noise of the world, I could go back to my inner peace. Whereas a person who has not come home to themselves, they can't have that silence. They don't go for the noise canceling. They need the noise to match the noise which is inside themselves, to match that with what's just going on there. It's a conflict. It's conflicting. It's not a problem or a conflict with us. It's just conflicting energies when you have the senses. And so this is all part of the shift too, is the world's getting noisier. So there's kind of, you just learn how to navigate. It's not avoiding because there's nothing more. You don't need to have relationships with people where you need to learn something from them anymore. So the relationship, the people change. You're just a nice person to them, just to be a nice person, because that's just how you do, because you're in your heart center. It's just, you don't go to do a nice person. It's just doing you, because you're not having a problem going, there's a relationship here now, and I have to do something. Or not even that. There's this, you go into an act of having a relationship with another human being, and all of a sudden you find that you start learning from them, a regular person would have those interactions, the cause and effect and all that. That's not it for us. We don't need the human race, so we move accordingly. I can say we, because you do this too, in the daytime, accordingly to what's more comfortable, what consensus fit our senses, so it matches our the inner. So less people, don't need to see them. I don't need to be in the crowds. With the particular time of the day, right, where the sun's even so hot, depending on the time of year. And the summer has been, the sun's matching the noise. The sun is really, really active, and it's causing a lot of havoc, but nothing's being really directed towards that. And I know why. It would cause massive hysteria. But because I have a knowing of how intense the sun is, then I act accordingly. So it's stuff like this. And it's not fear. It's just that we're living in really heightened and hypersensitive times. We act accordingly.
Yeah, and it can change too, right? Like right now, what you're sensitive to might change, and you might be easier. Who knows? I don't have any idea.
Get used to it. We're adapting. That's it. We're changing, integrating, adapting, changing, shape shifting. That's what we're doing. Change is constant, but this one's different. This is a transmutation that's going on. So that's why it's noisier. Yeah. And that sun, oh boy, you stay out of that, because it causes some problems too. Not to stay out of it. Like if you bask in it, it's fine. It's lovely, but it can get really hot. And I've heard people complain about it.
As I was in all of that noise yesterday, I would breathe and just come back to being like, coming from the heart space, like you said earlier, and like just being aware of how what was going on around me was really coming from such a mental headspace, just this really like, and it's not that I don't go to that space but that, you know, being in the center of your head and like, or the, you know, into the heart is like so grounding, and it just allows you to be so much more aware of how to navigate the world, because you're not at the you're not the cause and you're not the effect of things at all anymore. You're completely sovereign and responsible and for the energy that's moving through you and around you, and it's awesome. Because it manifests, you know, it was also really cool is I you can see how it manifests your experience in a way that serves you almost all the time. Oh, I'll say all the time it serves you. Just we're not aware of it all the time, but I'm aware of it more and more and more. So, and because for a long time it didn't occur that way to me, right? Like it was so, it was work. It was like this, like, I don't know. There's just this.
Yeah. How do I get back to my center?
Yeah.
What do I do? What am I going to do?
Yeah. Or when something wasn't going the way I wanted it to, you're like examining it, looking at it, you know, trying to figure it out. And now it's like all that just sort of noise, and it can come up and flitter in and out of mental chatter, right? But it's more of what manifests is really just perfect for what needs to happen at the moment.
Right. Now if something goes down, it's the whole stopping, observe, choose, and then act. Really, it's going, I wonder where this is going to bring me in, instead of immediately going into, oh shit, which it may come up for a second. Don't get me wrong, but this time around, now it's like, wait, I wonder where this is going to bring me, because that's what we're saying. There's no going to be any more challenges or problems anymore. I feel for myself, and you agreed for yourself too. Because of that, doesn't mean that shit's not going to come up. Right. It's just that when it does, it's not a problem or a challenge. It's more of, I wonder how this is going to kind of play itself out. It's a different.
It's a different energy. It's a different space it's a different space to be standing in.
Instead of taking it personal, like, did I do something wrong? And I know what I need to do to fix it. Oh my gosh,
totally.
That's huge.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like life, is one big guilty trip, basically.
Right? I know, and like everything, God, like all sorts of different ways, different teachings, and different. Yeah, they're just all about like you're wrong, something's wrong, you got to fix it, got to do this or that, and like
it's all mental.
Had so much of that.
And so yeah, I'm gonna go at it here soon. I got another video I need to upload to my YouTube channel, but this one is really about how we're in our consciousness. And somebody could say that, like, it's like, wait a second here. But you need to have a sovereign space within yourself. You came home to yourself to understand that, and we can have a discussion. Or someone who didn't do that within themselves, or they didn't do it, didn't happen, right? Whatever. The wording's tricky there. Don't really understand this. But I have a perfect metaphor. I'm not mention this in this video. I don't even know what the hell I'm going to call it yet. But when they sent out that disc, right, to the heavens, and it has all of humankind's, like, you know, it has like little blurps of here, like music, like Mozart. It has like the art, you know, it has like different, like just humanity on a disc, just floating through outer space. I think it just left the galaxy or something. I don't know what happened. It's been a long, right? And they're tracking it too. They sent it out in like the early 70s, didn't they? Somewhere late 60s or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that date's correct, but just go with me here. And so I'm thinking to myself, and it just dawned on me, because I was bringing this whole, we're in consciousness. It's not we die, leave the body, and we're in the spirit world, or before we came here, there's this, but this place that we're doing right now is something different. It's called life, and it's real. And I really sat with this, and I'm like, wait a second here. This doesn't take a genius, not with the brain either, because the brain can't get this at all. Is that, excuse me, if you sent out a disc out into outer space, any intelligent species would know if they're actually intelligence, not with the brain, but wise, the knowing of everything's inside the self, all the dimensions that we say, dimensions and realms and places we can explore. If we go to outer space, it's all inside the self. Any of those beings that came to this disc would look at it going, we've been reading your minds the entire time. So science is stuck so much in the brain, Matt. It's sickening.
It
It's
is. It
disgusting.
is.
Isn't that sad? They had to send out. That's how limited they are. It's so sad. It actually is very sad that they
Yeah.
lost that connection from their psychic sense and their psychic knowing.
Yeah.
That when they close
Yeah.
their two physical eyes, they can see with that third eye, and they can contact all species, all beings, all humans, all sentients, and all of creation. That
Yeah.
they had to
Yeah.
send out a disc. How
Yeah.
limiting is that? And so, and this, nobody's going to find it because they know that they did that. They've been inside
Right.
the whole time, just kind of surveying the whole entire. We're being watched.
And what are they going to do? Be like, oh shoot, we don't have our disc player to play it. Oh
Yeah,
no.
who are the watchers? Who are the watchers? And I had this dream once, and we were in a football stadium, and I was just in a regular seat, and just talking before the show. It was a show, but it wasn't it was a concert, a music concert. And up above, all of a sudden, I started realizing there was the watchers watching us. There's them, the big ones. It was like this knowing, like it was completely and utterly a sensation that I got of a knowing. So it's like, wait a second here. Science is just sitting there, just watching a DNA molecule. They have words for it. If you look at the sun, they have technology that can go out into look at these pulsars or these strange stars that emit these like strange energies in both directions, and they don't know what they're doing. And if you go inside yourself, you kind of understand the mechanics of how creation is being created. It's not like it's done.
Yeah,
and then they're going to go out and explore how it happens. Like, we're the end result.
Yeah, this is it. This I know, right? This is the
funny.
final.
I'm not laughing at anybody, by the way, in particular. It's just universal laughter.
Well, it is funny to think like that there's that limitation, like that it's completed, you know, that it's that this is it, you know. Like,
and now we're going to go and we're going to take our sophisticated, most advanced technology to go off and to try to probe into this outer space and to try to make contact with these beings.
Yeah.
Or that we're paranoid, and we have like this military, and we have the Star Wars thing, and we have all this stuff surveillance, because it all has to do with the paranoia of the brain and the mind. That's why we have militaries. That's why we have science.
Have Space Force now, right?
Right, right. And so that's a byproduct of the brain. That's the point that I'm making, Matt. Is that the brain and the mind is so potent that it has become everything. We don't know we're in it. So there's no way for us to get out of it, basically. And that was the whole thing, is that full circle round, we're not getting, quote unquote, there in the mind. The mind will just go around and around and around and around and just go crazy. So these people are getting more paranoid, suspicious. They have cameras everywhere because they don't have a psychic eye, just the knowing. You can't just look at a human being anymore and just know what you're looking at. Come on.
Right.
You know, so this is how bad it's gotten, where humanity is almost taken out of the picture because they don't know what they're looking at, because they don't have the side of the psychic eye. So it has to do with the sovereignty of the individual. And because we've been taken and being, used as objects for whatever the purpose was for our own making. The beings are above us, like the powers above us, military, governments. We were always victim to like overcoming all of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was always that was the surface, overcoming all of that, not being sovereign, to be free, break the chains and liberate ourselves from government control. And and what they realize is what they're doing is they're all playing the same game of chess, which is the brain.
Yeah.
Stop thinking. And end all problems.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly kind of just as I feel into like my experience, like at the airport yesterday, like that's exactly
The
just
vibe.
that the vibe. Yeah, there's just that
Mm-hmm.
feeling
It's everywhere.
of paranoia, but it's all in the head. Like as I sit with it and just feel like what it
Uh-huh.
was
It's up
like, it's
there.
just this like everyone was not even in their body at all. They're
They're
just
not
like
connected.
they're
So
in this
yeah,
head and in this like space of um just disconnect from their essence, who they are. So
they have psychic, uh, you know, people that are hired to
mhm.
probe to cameras because they know about this. They can't do the where two or more gather. So they're not in the heart center, in the heart space.
Yeah,
So it's all heady. It's all up there. So that's where it
yeah,
ends. And when you are in your heart center and you're in the space, pretty much you don't need to go there anymore. There's no more meditating. There's no more
yeah.
praying. It's like that's where becoming and sovereign, where you are God, you are, and it's such a
Mm.
humbling experience because you figure that it would be the opposite, but no, this is the whole thing of coming home to the heart center, and this is what's happening to each and every one of us, and it's a quickening, and some of
Yeah,
us don't like that. It tickles too much. They go right back up to the head
yeah,
because it's not
yeah.
safe down there in the chest. Like that's me. Oh, but no, that's no, it
Yeah.
brings up pain and
Uh-huh.
all the
Uh-huh.
things that they just shoved under because they're too busy trying to be heady, basically, and ego
Totally.
and all that shit, basically.
Yeah.
It's congested up in the head.
Yeah, it really is. And then we try to get out of the head through the head. And it's like, yeah, until you come home to yourself and realize, yeah, you never left anyway. So, yeah,
It is a big chuckle in the present moment when you're
uh-huh.
present. You're present. Even though I
Uh-huh.
can have all this in my head. It's like someone asked me, how do you keep all that in your head, Muriel? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
actually kind of funny.
Well,
I just
we
laugh for a
don't have
second.
any other we don't have any other language to use to describe it sometimes.
The
So
higher
it's
mind.
just kind of,
The higher mind,
yeah,
and then there's
yeah.
no like cap, like the top of the head that like disconnects the brain and puts the higher mind, you know.
Right. Yeah.
It just filters in. So uh they don't know what we're doing as far as those who have come home to the heart center because they're not paying attention. And if they have
Mm-hmm.
psychic awareness, they're trying to get there through the third eye, and they think the third
Mm-hmm.
eye is in the brain and the consciousness is up there. They don't
Mm-hmm.
understand this whole tango between the heart center and the third eye, and in between is your speaking center. It's the throat. This is
Mm-hmm.
huge. This is really big because there's so much more. You just cut your head off and all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I did away with it. There we go. That was the problem. Everybody just needs to be
Yeah, just cut their heads off. Right.
beheaded.
Right.
Right. Or it was the frontal lobotomy thing, like, okay. Uh, the owning of the sovereign space is scary because that means that if you make a mistake, then you're only there to catch yourself.
Yeah.
Really, in the
Yeah.
end, even though the
Yeah.
others are around. Like I'm in a neighborhood with lots of people around me, but they have no business what I'm doing with my internal business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm the only one that's going to catch myself if I fall.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah.
They have suicide
Absolutely.
hotlines, and they're like my worst nightmare. So I'm like the worst nightmare to them. Because generally I say, you know what, let them kill themselves. Be on with it. They're
Yeah.
junking up the atmosphere anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Heart-centered,
Right.
heart-centered, compassion, Muriel, compassion. Then all of a
Compassion.
sudden they enter the spirit world because they
Yeah.
don't know that they're in the spirit world. It's a shock. It's like everyone dies of shock. And like, what the hell just happened? Like when you find someone just died, you're like, oh, wow. You
Yeah.
notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's shocking. So we go. So all of a sudden the shock, they go through the little veil and they enter the spirit world. And generally it's, oh shit, it didn't work. Because wherever
Right.
you go, there you
Right.
are. And so
Right.
people here, they'll get this whole suicide, oh my God, because people are locked into this realm thinking this is the only place that exists. Maybe something happens when you die. See, when you're sovereign, you understand that there is no difference between this present moment and that
Right.
present moment. It's all over there.
Right.
They're all way over there, Matt. All the beings, like those big beings, like they're not us. Those big beings of light, those you know, our ancestors, all the ghosts, the boogie woogies, they're like way over there, which energetically they kind of are. That's how the space can be sovereign and high
Sure,
frequency,
sure.
because you don't want any boogie woogies coming in. But what I'm saying is that there's no going over there. Everything's happening right here, right now. And this is a quickening for the human race too. So that if humans they don't know how to take and the ability to respond to what's happening in order to move this way. Basically, it takes great responsibility in order to live a life like this. The ability to respond accordingly to the moment, what's ever happening, without going into an emotional overload or mental.
Right.
What do? We talked about that so many times. It's like, that's why the breath was always the primary, most important thing of what we were doing. It's like, even in the most direst times, sometimes you just got to be with the shit and just let things pass through you.
Yep.
You don't have time to think about your breath. You're sitting there like shitting out. Seriously, yeah, you're sitting there shitting out both ends. You don't have time to think about your breath.
No, it doesn't work then. Yeah, it's whatever that means. Yeah, it's not really
right now with the hysteria of the pandemic and the changing of the climate and this other things in the air and the government, everything's being dismantled. You have this like no time for that.
Yeah,
that's the frenzy. It's like, what do we do? So just sit in it, and then they just ride the wave of that, and everybody joins the wave, because it's not easy. And it's like you have to do something to stay in like that centered space.
Right. Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. Oh, I find myself in that frequently, less and less, but still, yeah, definitely, finding it's like, we talked about this before too. It's just, you go about your day and you're still on the world and you're still experiencing what's going on around you, and, trying to not be, completely like, spun by every little wave that's crashing around you.
And I would say, if you can, we all don't need mantras. When you're sovereign, we did all of this act because it did something. It changed our engagement and our stickiness of the thoughts that were controlling us at the moment, that was skewing what was like happening, the reality around us, in order for us to be able to have and the ability to respond. If the mind comes in and we go into frenzy, well, we're kind of frozen. We become frozen up in the mind, trying to control everything. We go, oh my God, and then we don't know what to do. So back to center, I say now. So we got rid of all of these mantras we used to have and say they were great, they worked, and they're still going. Everything that happened is still happening.
That's
and
right.
so now
it's
really good to say back to center. Is a good, we create distractions just to not, you can't stop the brain from talking, but it distracts it and it pushes it over a little bit, so that it brings you back to the moment. So there's little tricks you could do of the brain, and that's what we've been doing. Now it's of the utmost importance because of the chatter that's even more intense now with the electromagnetic frequency change. There's more energy going on up there, and there's a hell of a lot more mind chatter.
Hell of a lot more. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's like you enter it's like you enter the brain when you go into the airports. You go into some head, and all of a sudden you're in these thoughts everywhere.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, how do I get out? Oh, wait, back to center.
Yeah.
And we're sovereign, walking through the airport, and nobody can see you. You kind of vanish because you vanished them. Perhaps you put noise cancellation headphones on to the five senses. One of them got muted. And so now back to center works. You're back to center immediately. People don't. They're like, no, maybe there's something here and I need to learn something. It's like a spiritual dance they need to do with the irritations. No, when you're sovereign, we're in a world that is very noisy. It's very expensive to live here, and the whole thing's getting dismantled. So once you work like this, you have to do something to make yourself happy in the moment. Because happiness isn't something to attain. It comes and goes. And I don't want to sit in the moment of something fucking irritating me. So I'll stop it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's being sovereign. This is not spiritual. And that's why we don't fit into a spiritual community, because it's community needs each other because they're not sovereign. They need the outward confirmations to make sure if they're doing something right or not.
That's right. And there's somebody who already did it before you that teaches you how to do it. And if you just follow that way, then you can figure it out, or you can you can do it.
And that's it. Being sovereign, there's no
Mm-hmm.
one way of doing it. That's what sovereign is. It
That's
cancels
right.
itself out. That's
That's
the
right.
freeing of this whole thing is. This was always the golden age humanity wanted, but they didn't know how to. It takes the ability to respond in the moment in order to have and walk a wise walk, to be a wise person. It takes great responsibility to be mature in your walk, because there's a whole bunch of
yes, it does.
the Idiocracy, that movie Idiocracy going on in the entire, everybody's getting stupid. They're all, because it's all in the brain is starting to shut down almost. It's starting to give up the fight of trying to get it right.
I know, I'm just thinking of what's going on. Yeah, no, you're right. Well, it's funny because you feel like people have like certain things around common sense, or just like general things that we kind of took for granted don't appear to be happening anymore. People are, yeah. It's like even the people in the brain are
like
not
we
as
move with our senses,
functional.
Matt. If something comes up in your body, you immediately, it's not the brain, you just immediately go to the sense. The brain, your brain doesn't go to the sense in the body. You go to the sense. That's acting mature way. That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's what we've been doing. It's strange act, but it's new. And there's no one way of doing it. I just try to keep things simple.
Yeah.
Because it's so simple, because everyone can relate to that. We all have a body.
For sure. Yeah, it's very relatable. Very relatable.
And you could feel it in your head when you're in the airport, the sense was going up in the head. Your brain didn't go and went into it. You immediately sensed it and felt it in the head. And you didn't do anything about it, because the brain would come in and immediately try to go, okay, so what do we need to do about this? No,
yeah.
You just saw it and go, oh boy, oh God, here's the shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
what
no.
What music do I want to listen to right now?
Thank goodness we move through this thing called time and space, the perception. Thank goodness the moment ends.
That's right. That's
because
right. Yeah.
I couldn't imagine keeping walking through this airport like this, in this state of way in the world for eternity. That would be a
constantly.
level of hell.
Oh God. No, I wouldn't want to be.
And the song playing on the Eternal Sunshine soundtrack is.
Oh no. Could you?
It would be na 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 na. Hey, good.
Or whatever song you detest the most, right? It's just on a loop.
One, yeah, it would just go over and on. There's an eternity of songs that play forever. So, and then there's places in creation that don't exist until we get there. We get quieter.
Yeah.
We get quieter, and the world is noisy until they get quiet. It will be like one at a time.
Yeah.
Like that. That's a metaphor, because like the brain, you think so much, you just get so tired. You're just tired of thinking. That's what's happening. And to the masses now. So that's why it's good to take the time out for myself. And when I tap into it, I sense that we're all psychic, first of all. Every single person, that we can do this. Yep. You don't have to tap into yourself. You just be with the moment. It unveils it, unravels stuff. But when I tap into it, I'm not going and traveling anywhere or too far from where I am, airplane wise, or making trips or plans until the dust settles here. And it was the same thing with what I just came from because I just started a whole new life. And so that dust is still settling from that old life. And so and there's overlaps. Everybody has the listeners have their personal dust settling, but then you get the whole transformation, which is no difference. It all entwines. That's right. In and out.
Totally. Yep.
But still, when you walk in the sovereign space, that's not your dust settling. It's the outward of all the inners over there settling. And so I don't need to be in that like you were at the airport until you do, until you need to. You wouldn't do that really on your own, because you had to do it for your job. So you force, but that's part of your job.
Yeah.
So my point is, you wouldn't have made a plan going, I'm going to California right now during all this dust.
Exactly.
So it's going to happen like this, and more as we're more and more
Mhm.
of this is, it's getting grayer and grander. Greater is a better word. In its intensity as we
Yes.
move into this next season and then into next year, because again, the coming undone. Yeah.
Yeah. Deep breath of that. It's awesome.
And you know, because we were in two different worlds. We're knowing of the
Mhm.
human, our human, and then we're knowing of their eternal self, and we don't have any problems with death and issues
Mhm.
with the darkness, you know, of ourselves. It's always like the entity over there is going to get us. No, it's more of like check in with yourself, deal with that shit. They're none of your business. And
Mhm.
that's what we've done. And we kind of went into corners and went to the places that scare you and all of that, and overcame a lot of those, you know, demons and dragons representing ourselves to reach to the point where you just come home to yourself and it's more comfortable. Sometimes it's not going to be, and that the person, you're not going to be here. Those listening might be one or two that you'll leave, like, you know, whenever, when you're ready. It could be now, this season, next season. We're not, once you realize that what's going on, we were never in a realm you set up camp and you stay here. The reason why
Yeah.
I'm here is because of just who I'm, it's radiating who I am, and this is who I am.
Mhm.
This is the doing that's doing me. That's all I can say. Where some people, they're
Yeah.
doing is going, oh, I don't need to be here. Okay, bye. It's so
Exactly.
simple. It's so
Exactly.
simple. Because
Yeah.
this place isn't like this and then, oh my God, you're dead. Again, it's that shocking when you hear somebody that died. You're like, oh, no, it kind of, it's depending on your relationship you had with them in this, what we call life, then of course you're going to go down the past, and the brain's going to bring you down memory lane, and it's going to bring up a whole bunch of emotions and bring you into all those spaces.
Sure. Sure.
That's the human. The more we stay here, the more we're going to be engaged, whether we like it or not, because we're in a body here. But we're not
Mhm.
of the world, we're in it. It's totally different. We know that. Like the shit's going on, but it's not going to hurt my soul. It's not going to bother me to sense
There you go.
anymore, as my life in this, my days here, the whole world's coming undone, but it's not bothering my personal world because I have an knowing that it's okay, that
Mhm.
I understand what's taking place. If you understand, and the brain has a little bit of understanding, it kind of can leave you alone. That's why I wrote my
Mhm.
book, Soulship. I'm not saving anybody. I'm not helping, assist. Oh, that one person. No,
Mm.
that's again the expression of who I am. It lands into that person's. That's it right there. Bam, the magic does itself.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah.
That's sovereignty. And I wrote that book and everything. Nobody was involved in that book. You could tell because I didn't follow any kind of. Uh, I have spaces of paragraphs, but I don't have indentations. And the rewriting of the sentences could be done. I could totally redo that book. No,
Yeah.
I just spit that out in paper. No, we're not perfect. Knowing that everything, we're 15% correct. Everything is ever created, right?
Yeah.
So I sat there, I'm like, what am I supposed to be, this golden globe author, and I'm going to have millions of followers, and I got to write this perfect book? And no, I knew that from the beginning. There was not my
Yeah.
life. I'm going to follow that. This is going to get on paper. It's going to be the easiest route, and I'm not going to sit there with anybody and dallying with everybody, somebody outside myself. And so I read it, and my eyes Googled. I mean, I literally, my eyes were just crazy after that, because I did all the proofreading and I did the editing. Nobody was involved in that project except for the artist that I said, hey, do you have a piece of artwork you'd like to submit? And
Mhm.
as it
Mhm.
unfolded, that artwork landed exactly in the position of the book and where it was. And I had nothing to do with that. And so what we're doing is, we're walking this sovereign space, is you start realizing that the brain and you, the human, isn't doing anything, that you don't need to know what to do for the doing to happen. That's sovereignty right there.
That's I love that. Like, it's just
It's
doing you.
scary though. Isn't that
It's super
scary?
scary. I
It's
know. I
weird.
know.
It's the same shocking of going, hey, so and so, like, I died. Like someone came up to you, Matt, Muriel died. You're like, what? First of all, you'd be like, what?
Yeah,
Maybe a
exactly. Yeah.
second. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like the same
Yeah.
thing. It's like, that's just weird how it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like how you said that though. Like that's what sovereignty really is. It's
You get out of the way.
you're just out of
Humans
the
getting
way,
out of the way.
exactly, and the experience is unfolding, and you're living it,
It
and
just
it's
seems like the brain. It
mm-hmm,
seems like if we think about it,
mm-hmm.
then we're doing it. It seems like we're living life. It seems like we're doing.
Yeah,
Isn't that weird?
yeah, and well, it is
Totally.
because it's also hard because when you're talking to other people, that's like the interaction that you
They
have, right? Like,
confirm it. They
and
confirm
so
it by
yeah,
saying, "I did this." Yeah,
uh-huh,
yeah,
uh-huh.
totally.
So but that's like that's how you interact with people, right? It's like you're just you have a shared, I don't know, like like the weather, right? Like everybody, we all experience the weather. So like the epitome of small talk, someone you don't know, nice and hot out today, blah blah blah, and it's like, so we all kind of, yeah, it's just what an interesting dynamic that is, isn't it?
How we interact is
Yeah,
mental. It's all mental. We don't
yeah,
even realize that we're
yeah, yeah.
mental. Even by saying "I love you" is mental. So if you look at like a Buddhist, for instance, has their orange and red robe on, and they walk this walk in life, right? If you look at them, they're not the normal person that's in like the grocery store. You don't really see
Right.
these people. They take the robe off and they have jeans and a t-shirt
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
But if you walk some with us, like I kind of do a half and half act. Just go with me here. Your mannerisms and how you treat what's considered the others. You notice your brain considers people over there the others,
Yeah.
but you know very well that there is nothing outside the self. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're in the state of being, you start moving a certain way. I mean, even them, they say namaste and they bow to you. They actually, their act and how they present themselves around you is the very presence of I am you and you are me, in a sense. They
Yeah.
honor that divinity of the non-identity through everyday movements.
Right.
Whereas you look at the modern civilizations, we don't do that at all. We're like,
No.
hey, Matt, what's up, man? We just like, because that's how I talk when I go, I'm just talking from experience. So
Sure.
I don't talk like when in these spaces or when I'm with my clients or when I'm doing presentations, whatever I'm doing. I don't talk like that in my regular act. No, because I'm human. I go and be
Mm-hmm.
human when I'm watching a movie and I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with my friends or whatever. You know this, Matt, right?
Yep.
Totally. So because we understand, we have an understanding, but if you look at the masses, no, there's you and you are separate. You're separate. And that's their own definition of what they know to be sovereign. Like we're all sovereign. I had somebody say that to me. Uh, I'm sovereign. I didn't mention presence too much, but it didn't matter. I don't need to show all this wording explanation of yourself. That's another thing. Trying constantly explaining yourself. That's so
Yeah.
tiring. And
Well,
so you
that's
just
like,
stop that. Yeah.
well, that's sort of the other aspect I was thinking of with interacting with other humans, because you start, like, you get, it is tiring explaining yourself or explaining this. So I just don't, and I don't have to, like, I don't feel like I have to, but it's really challenging when you're in like a relationship with somebody and you're like, I think that's why that's one of the reasons I left, so
Mm-hmm. They just couldn't see you no matter what.
it's,
And you just have to leave because they're just not
mm-hmm,
going to. Or
mm-hmm.
and it's just nothing you have to do anymore. Understand the tango doesn't work.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this person was like, well, we're all sovereign. I'm like, yeah, but most of us don't walk that walk. They
Oh,
don't do the courageous.
that's a huge word that's being thrown around right now with all this like pandemic stuff, and like I'm American, I'm a sovereign being, and government can't tell me what to do and all that. And just interesting that that's the word
It's
that's
like, yes, they
used.
can. They can
Sovereign.
actually take you out of society and nobody would ever see you again
Right.
in an
if,
instant.
if they wanted to. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
There are no protections. There's no laws to protect anybody.
There's also, yeah.
So, but we
So
use that
yeah.
old saying,
Yeah.
Matt, too, is that when you're safe within, there's no place you can go in the world that's unsafe.
That's right.
That's a
It's,
huge, because you have to look at these, you have to take a couple passes. You have to sit with what's said first. You can't just jump on that because they're like, wait a second, somebody
mm-hmm.
could argue that. There's no point. You just pass through these sayings. There's no place in the world that's unsafe if I'm okay inside myself. And I know this to be true because I check in with myself.
Sure. Yeah.
So I wouldn't put myself overly, obviously I wouldn't put my body over there in, the middle of a place that would put me into danger, because,
Yeah.
that's when you use your wisdom. And
Yeah.
so
That
I guess,
doesn't make much sense,
there.
right? Yeah. 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 That's cool.
So yeah, just that movement of energies, and to be patient. That's one of the three virtues, to the simplicity, keep things simple, because the brain complicates everything. It tries to find the answer, and it complicates something very simple. So we try to stay right at the first thing that comes to us. That's intuitive. That's with the higher mind. And then we have patience and knowing that our energy is manifesting that pretty close to what we desire to have within our lives. It may not be what the human wants with the brain, but it will come.
Yes.
But you have to have patience, and
I
that's
love
hard.
that.
And
Yeah, it
then
is hard. Yeah.
you smush compassion with patience. I like the word compatience, but you have a little bit of compassion for yourself, because, well, that's where the brain comes in. You're like, this isn't working. I did it again. I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know how to run my energy. I thought the energy is not outside the self. Am I doing something wrong? And there's this constant getting down, and it doesn't ruin anything. It's just you find yourself in a magnetic dance of, I'm not okay, and you got to do something to change that.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Well, not funny. It's totally fitting that you say that, because like that's one of the things that I noticed when I got home yesterday from that experience, was that one of the noisy energies that was still kind of lingering in me was this, something's wrong, I'm not okay, which used to be like in the background of like everything in my life, like looking around and like, oh, got to fix that, or oh, or if something was going really well, you're like, oh, well, that's not going to last. You sort of have this like
Totally
noisy, noisy is the best word for it. It just kind of, and that was
the
like
brain is so potent. It's so potent to make you
and
think
that was
everything.
like, yeah, and that was like up for me, like it was just all like much more in my awareness than it had been for a long time. And I was just like, what? Like I knew it wasn't mine. I knew it wasn't true, but it's just interesting to, how easily you can get, all that energy is still circulating all around. And
you can, and the body heals itself. So, and so instead of, you find out something and you're like, what the hell is that? Immediate, the brain said that. What the hell is that? Or whatever you say, and you're, oh my God, you go into fear. We bring our hands, and all of us are we're born shamans. All of us can heal ourselves. So we have most of us all have hands, unless you don't have your hands. I never work with someone that doesn't have their hands, so, but generally we do. And you can put your hands on your body, wherever that place is that you're going into fear about.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what is that going to do? I'm not doing it. Oh my God. And the brain starts bypassing that and tries to sit there and figure it out where your hands are sitting there on your body. And so we breathe. Literally, it was like, pay attention, stop, take a good deep breath, relax your body. Just be in your body. If it's not relaxed, pay attention to the ones that's relaxed, and the others will follow. If it doesn't, just be with the breath for a little bit. Just stay. It's like we needed that trainer that, like the dog does, to constantly tell us to stay with the breath. But to breathe into the heart, space. And that's where the scientists or the psychic spies, the remote viewers of the military, they don't know this, to breathe into the heart space, the healing hands. You don't need anybody outside yourself. You don't need a doctor. You don't need to rush to oh my God, no, literally, you don't need any surgery, nothing. In fact, it's barbaric. It's no, disclaimer, there's nothing wrong with going to the doctor and getting a surgery. Okay, back to this conversation. So it's barbaric. And for the future tense, it's considered, because we start awakening, we're awakening and trusting and just trusting what we're saying. Trust the self, just allow, have patience, Just
Yeah.
be patient. Let the days go. Get distracted. Distract that
Yeah.
mind. Get you onto something. You see this whole juxtaposition that we have to do?
Yep.
Because that brain is sitting there going, we're fucked. Shit.
Uh-huh.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we're back to the breath and the emotions. And yep, there it is. We're starting to sweat. Yep, there it is. And you're really into this act. Like the body's really doing this thing. We're starting to become aware that we're like,
right.
It's actually funny when you start hearing it like this. It is funny. It's a funny
it's hard when you're in when you're in the middle of it's not funny for sure. I know.
No, because you're shitting your pants. That's not funny.
But when you see it this way, like you're really into the act, you're really diving into the character.
What am I going to do? I need somebody going to get me out of this position. And all of a sudden somebody arrives and it's you. Like totally. So all angels say, oh my God, angels, I have angels, they say like, I have friends in higher places. Like there's all these different expressions. Like the angels are up there above the clouds until there, and there's God. And you won't realize that the angels are actually closer than like your DNA, your heartbeat. Like it's like inside of all of us, like everything is inside of us. There's no angel. When I work with my clients and I ask them about presences, it could be guides or ancestors or angels, whatever. I ask them right, left, in front, back, where is it? And they're like, oh, to the right of me. It doesn't mean that they're actually outside and to the right of their body.
Right.
That's important. That is really important because this, Matt, this is like a realization that we really haven't owned. Like that veil disappears. All of a sudden we're like, oh, I get this. Okay. Yeah, that being is to the right of me, but not physically to the right of me. And it's all inside myself. Consciousness. We're like everything. We're in consciousness. We're of consciousness. There's no physical realm and then the spirit world. This is awakening for the first time. That's why it's shocking when you hear someone dies. Because we have a veil of the brain going, nope, there's that one, and then there's here. This whole coming to this, it's going to change everything. There's how we move, how we interact, everything. Heart-centered economies, how we move commerce, how we move goods, how we treat each other. Everything is going to change based on the heart center. But do you think they're going to just be like, go there so easily?
Right. No.
Because when you went to the airport recently, now Matt, remember we were talking, most of the things to pop up in the 3 days later, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Where it happened like 3 decades or 3 years, 3 decades.
For sure.
Not always so. Not always so. It's totally changing.
Yeah.
So we talk in this space about that, and we're going way over, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we're around an hour right now from where we started.
Okay.
Recording,
because we talked for about 20 minutes. I could just go on. I'm not looking. I'm like totally looking. I'm like talking down to like, I'm in a room and I'm facing a hallway and I'm like speaking like there's a crowd in front of me or something. It's the weirdest thing. I just noticed sometimes the way I talk. Sometimes I'll like talk into like a corner of a room, like I'm talking to a person that's standing in the corner of a room.
Totally. Totally. That's funny. That's really funny.
So yeah, we could continue this, right, at some point. But do you have anything more to say about the sovereignty? It's vast.
It's vast, yeah. I mean, it's so I mean, why don't we? I mean, I'll just because I have what you wrote here too. I can just reread it, just maybe to end it with that. Just I don't know, just because I think you summed it up so well in your book, like just as a way to like in a simple sentence. The ability to receive one's own energy to manifest and experience creation without outside influence or interference. Yeah.
So if anything comes at you, you know that it's instead of going at it, perceiving that it's coming at you from the outside, you stop and go, I wonder what my energy is serving me here.
Yeah.
Because you realize that is not out in the outside. It's perceived to be that way from the brain.
Yes. And it's the ability to receive that. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a hard one. Ooh, and the compassion with humanity right now.
Right.
To be sorry in the heart center, back to center. in the
Back
heart,
to
back to
center.
center.
Yeah.
And yet you have all these people that are, and Americans, man, they're just so bloody, like they spread themselves out. They're so spoiled. Like there's so much that all these goods and everything that they can have, it's all kind of, I wouldn't say coming to an end. I'm not going to bring up bad apocalyptic like prophecy here or anything, but things are slowing down. It's slowing down. As far as like what people are going at it to make their lives happy. Like they buy all this stuff, they fill up their house with shit. That's changing. People are kind of getting sick of how big things are, really, if you look at it. But when you go out in the world, there's still plenty of people at those big super center Walmarts and buying their stuff and everything. But the more this frequency comes within the heart space, the more they realize what's important for them, really. And they're seeing in the news that there's places that are getting taken over with the water and changes of things, and fires, and the earth is changing. And so, yeah, this whole happening is kind of like bringing people with more to back to center, and they don't even know it's happening to them.
Exactly.
Stop for a second out of the frenzy. And I've talked to enough people too recently, and I'm noticing that they had their experiences with their family and friends that have shifted. They may be way on the other side of their awakening. They're completely sleeping or whatever, and they're starting to wake up. Like they're talking to them and they're listening now. So there's all these different subtleties that are becoming more in your face, not so, way in the background. It's the softening that's happening from the heart center of every single person. So there's no one activist movement that's going to change anything. We're not going to bring down the government. There's no we got to stash food to save our asses for the next whatever because of the whole apocalypse. No, there's no having to protect ourselves from Jesus. It's going to come down with the aliens
and save us all.
There's none of that. And there's no protecting yourself from this darkness of the overlord, of the devil, of the darkness, of the bad people of the world. And oh my God, the psychopaths, they just go and shoot up locations and take down innocent people. And you have all this crazy stuff that people just don't have any can make sense to, because they're trying to go at it in their head, and the brain can't make sense of this. This is why we have in our motto, Matt, our thing is that, a weekly chat in a sovereign space, bringing consciousness to the confusion. Right? Because people are like, they're not in that sovereign space, which they're not. That makes them masses. They're confused. Why is this happening? What do I do? How do I proceed? My whole life crumbled. I lost my job. I had that for so long. Relationships, people die. It's like all sorts of changes happening that they're not equipped to do because they're in the mind. And the sovereign space that now is available for everybody, it's right there. It's so easy almost to talk to like people, and they're like, okay. It's like, because the big super brain is tired of thinking, like we said so many words earlier. Tire themselves out, man. They'll just freaking think so much. They'll just tire themselves out, and then they'll be, kind of like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready now. And they're just going to sit there and they're going to receive everything that was slightly outside of them, which was not, they kept pushing it away because they're not done thinking.
Exactly.
So
and all of a sudden what they, then what they didn't perceive will be, for lack of a better word, like visible, right? Like it'll be more clear. It was
always right there, but they just couldn't see it.
Even though it was there, before.
Show me the sign. We'll stop
it's
looking
like
at my
at
finger.
the end of, like at the end of, oh gosh, what's the movie with If You Build It, They Will Come, the baseball movie. Oh gosh,
I don't know.
Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams. Because at the end of it, he builds this field because there's these ball players that want to play, but they're all, they're dead. And his brother tells him he's crazy and he's going to lose his farm. And then all of a sudden, his brother says to him, "When did these ball players get here?" And they've been there the whole time, like playing baseball. So Yeah.
Yeah, we don't go anywhere.
We just don't see it until we see it.
And that's, yeah, and huge, huge change here happening
Mm-hmm.
here. That's not coming. We're in it now, and
Mm-mm.
it's so
Mm-hmm.
visible. Those
It
of us who
is.
are sovereign and walking this, we have a little bit more with us because we came home. That's why it's like difficult almost to stay any
Yeah.
longer, a day longer when you're doing this embodiment, because you just can't handle the noise. But what's happening now is that is changing through doing that one last thing of the patience and then compassion. Because let's face it, those people don't have that centeredness within themselves, and
Nope.
we do. So
Yep.
how is it for me to show anything other than just keeping to myself if I find something wrong or frustrated with them, because I have already done it. That's compassion. That's true compassion.
Yeah. 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 Compassion
So
is, yeah, very needed. Yeah.
anyway,
Very cool. It's good. It's a good conversation. Yeah. Sovereignty.
yeah, it's a good topic because again, it will continue on like the
Mm-hmm. Like all of
like
them.
the other one. Yeah, like like pretty much all of them. We'll talk about how to make like a good recipe of like, I don't know, cucumber dip or something. I don't know. I have a good recipe for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fill the whole
Share.
hour of talking about things, how to make recipes, or I don't know, do something different. So until next time, thanks,
Until
man.
next time. Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
Muriel. Thanks, guys, for listening.